You know the slogan, right? Red Bull gives you wings. It's all about that jolt of energy, that peak performance. But what if the real power isn't just what's in the can? What if it's all in your head, triggered the second you just see the logo? That's the wild idea we're going to dig into.
I know, it sounds a little crazy, doesn't it? The idea that a logo, just the colors and a design, could literally change how you perform a physical task? Well, that's exactly the question we're looking at. We're putting psychology head to head with pure physiology.
So you've got two things at play here. On one hand, you have the idea of Red Bull, everything that brand stands for. Can just seeing it actually change how you act? And on the other hand, you have the drink itself, the actual liquid with all its ingredients. So which is it? Mind or matter? Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, let's start with the power of the logo. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. We're looking at a study where, get this, a simple paint job on a car seemed to totally change the results of a race. Yeah, seriously. All right, so picture this. It's 2011. Two researchers, Brazel and Gibbs, get about 70 people together for what looks like a fun, simple experiment. All they have to do is play a racing video game. And to make it feel super legit, they even got a proper steering wheel and pedal setup. Okay, but here's where it gets really clever. Every person had to race 5 different virtual cars, and each car was decked out with a different famous brand logo. You had Red Bull, of course, but also Coca-Cola, Guinness, Tropicana, and then one totally unbranded car, just to have a baseline. Now, this is absolutely the most important detail. The researchers told everyone, straight up, that all the cars were exactly the same. Identical performance, identical stats. The only, and I mean only, thing that was different was the logo painted on the side. So no car should be faster than any other, right? Well, you'd think so. So what happened? Well, the results were weird and absolutely stunning. For all the other brands, Coke, Tropicana, people's race times were just kind of random, exactly what you'd expect. But the Red Bull car? Not even close. The data showed this crazy U-shaped curve. People were either getting their absolute fastest time in the Red Bull car or their absolute slowest. It was almost never just somewhere in the middle. Let me put it this way. When someone got behind the wheel of the virtual Red Bull car, they either absolutely flew or they totally failed. They'd either nail it and get their best time, or they'd push way too hard, crash all over the place, and get their worst time. It was a complete all-or-nothing kind of deal.
So what in the world is going on? Why this crazy split result? Well, it all comes down to what Red Bull means to us. Think about it. Red Bull has spent a fortune building this brand identity around speed, power, even a little bit of recklessness, right? So for some drivers, that idea subconsciously pushed them right to their limits, and they had an amazing race. But for others, it pushed them past their limits. They drove too aggressively, went off the track more, and ended up with a terrible time. And here's the real mind bender. This whole thing was happening subconsciously. When the researchers asked people about it later, less than half of them, only 44%, thought there was any difference between the cars at all. And the few who did guess were just guessing randomly. The Red Bull logo was literally changing how they drove, and they had no idea. Okay, so that's a pretty powerful effect on the mind, right? But it leaves a huge question hanging in the air. What happens when you actually, drink the stuff? What happens when we go from just the idea to the actual drink? And that brings us perfectly to our next piece of the puzzle. We're going to shift gears from the psychology of the logo to the actual biology of the drink. And this time, the setting is the world of competitive video games. So back in 2006, a researcher named Dr. Patricia Fraser got together 21 serious, experienced gamers. The goal? To see how drinking Red Bull affected their skills in a super fast-paced game, Unreal Tournament 2004. And the setup for this was the gold standard for experiments. It was double-blind and placebo-controlled. That means one time the gamers drank a real can of Red Bull. Another time they drank a fake-out version that was mixed to taste almost exactly the same but had 0 active ingredients. And here's the key. Nobody, not the gamers, not even the researchers handing out the drinks, knew who was getting the real thing on any given day. So, what did they find? Well, this time, it wasn't complicated at all. No U-shaped curve, no weird split. The result was super clear. Drinking the real Red Bull led to a real, measurable improvement in how they played the game. To put it simply, they got better. The drink actually did what it promised.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got two totally different effects here. One from just seeing the logo, which is all in the mind, and one from drinking the can, which is all about the body. So how does the science behind all this actually work?
Well, that logo effect? That's a classic example of something psychologists call non-conscious brand priming. It's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. When your eyes see that Red Bull logo, your brain instantly pulls up all the files associated with it: speed, power, risk, and those ideas then prime you to act that way, a little faster, a little more aggressively, without you even being aware it's happening.
And what about the drink itself? Well, that's mostly about caffeine, right? But hang on, it's not quite that simple. There's this really interesting debate in the science world called the withdrawal alleviation model. It basically asks this: does caffeine actually give you a true performance boost, making you better than your normal self? Or, if you're someone who drinks it all the time, is it just getting rid of the withdrawal symptoms? You know, the tiredness, the brain fog, and just bringing you back up to normal? It's a really cool question that scientists are still hashing out.
All right, so a logo can make you drive like a maniac in a video game, and the drink can make you a better gamer. Cool. But what does any of this actually mean for you, for us, in our day-to-day lives?
Here's the bottom line. The brands that are all around us, every single day, they're constantly priming us, changing our behavior in little ways we don't even notice. You know, that logo on a billboard or the can of soda someone's drinking in a movie? That's not just decoration. It's having a real, actual impact. And as the Red Bull study showed, when a brand has a really strong identity, that impact can be a double-edged sword. It can help you, or it can hurt you.
And this really gets to the heart of it. One of the researchers, Adam Brazel, said it perfectly. All of these brands that surround us are probably having a greater effect on our behavior than most of us realize. It's happening constantly, right under the radar of our conscious mind.
So this whole Red Bull effect, it's not really just about Red Bull, is it? It's this amazing window into how much brand identities can shape what we do. So that leaves me with one last question for you. Just take a look around you, wherever you are right now. What brands do you see? And which ones are giving you wings? And maybe which ones are causing you to crash?